My name's Emily Broad, and I'm the Delta Fellow, so I'm a joint position created by Mississippi State Social Science Research Center and Harvard Law School with funding from the Winnaker Family Foundation. And I'm an employee of Mississippi State, but I'm posted all the way over in the Delta in Clarksdale and have been here for 2 years trying to develop programs and foster policies that improve public health and economic development in the Delta. So I was in law school, I graduated in 2008, and in law school I was studying international human rights. So I spent all my breaks in Cambodia and in Vienna and Dublin trying to work on this international treaty. And so I thought, well, as soon as I graduate, I'm going to get out of the country and go abroad. And at the same time, the Delta Directions, which is the group I work with, was looking for someone to hire to just keep the group organized and take some of the research to the next level and do, some projects in the Delta. So I had this advisor at law school who said, "This sounds like it would be great for you." And I looked at her and said, "Mississippi?" Because I'd never really spent time in the South. I hadn't lived here before. I didn't even know what the Delta was when she first said that. So I started looking at it and I thought, well, it's great that people are really committed. There is a lot of need. Some of the problems there are similar to developing countries, and it just seemed like a really good fit. It was like a, kind of this wonderful coincidence that they were looking for someone right then. Delta Directions is a consortium of, a pretty loosely based consortium of researchers from different universities. So, the Social Science Research Center, the Institute for Community-Based Research at Delta State. We've a guy from the University of Tennessee Medical Center. So a bunch of different schools, and they've just had come together around the idea of sharing their research in the Delta, and both to make sure that they were, not kind of duplicating efforts, and then also to bring together, people from different backgrounds that could really target these issues in a more interdisciplinary way. And then my role has been to really, meet people on the ground, figure out what their priorities are, and how do we kind of pull this all together. So the area that I've gotten the most interested in has been around food and around, both food as a health issue, because it's incredibly, you see so much obesity, and even while people are obese in the Delta, they're also malnourished. They're just eating food that has just, calories that are not really giving them the vitamins that they need. So food is a health thing, but also as an economic development tool. There are these huge farms there, but you don't really see people on a small scale growing things that they can sell right in their community. So we've been working with farmers markets in the Delta. So I work really closely with the Clarksdale Farmers Market, but also we've created an alliance of markets in the Delta to share best practices so they can all grow. And we've seen in all of them across the board growth in the number of small farmers in the past few years. And I've been working also with school gardens. We started this great school garden at Clarksdale High School, and there's so a field, and we have a hoop house, which is sort of a greenhouse, and we have students out there. During the year they do it as an after-school program, but in the summer they're there working, and they work 3 days a week, and then they come sell it at the farmers market to raise money.
So I work for a program called Health Corps, and I work at Clarksdale High School teaching nutrition and wellness and that sort of thing. And a big part of it is kind of just starting programs and activities related to health in any sort of capacity. So this was one of our big projects to get a school garden started, get kids involved, growing food, working with the food, appreciating, how it's made and what to do with it once it grows. The school year, it's an after-school program, and it's just whoever wants to come, and it worked out well. We had lots of students come out. They built the hoop house, they built raised beds, they busted up the soil and put seeds in the ground, and surprisingly it all came up, and now we're here selling stuff at the market. So.
Kind of good because I heard on the news that some of the vegetables at the grocery stores are kind of rotten and stuff, so I think it's kind of great that we're growing them in the back of the school.
Kool-Aid pickles was probably the biggest revelation for me. Pretty
Have they changed your life?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's like kind of like a sweet treat, like you can eat. Like if you don't have any sweets in there, you can just make these. But you'll have to let them sit for a little while before you can eat them. But the longer you let them sit, the greater they'll taste.
Working with the vegetables and understanding what real food is to me the most valuable part of it. Participating in the local economy is pretty cool too.
One of the most exciting things, we looked at some of the laws in Mississippi relating to farmers markets, and we were actually able to recommend some new legislation. And one of the laws was that we thought Mississippi should exempt sales of food at farmers markets from sales tax. And we went to the legislature and we said, well, we think you should do this, and look at what all the other states are doing, and they're really encouraging local food, and we're falling behind there. And they said, well, this sounds like a great idea, and they passed the law and it got signed. And
that's the idea. If a student that took to it would share it with their neighbor, and it's just so doable. And sometimes that's hard to conceptualize if you've never done it before. Like how can you believe that a seed will turn into rows of whatever? But it's worked, and that's what's cool about it. So I hope that's what the students will understand and take to their communities.
Our next move, and what I'm hoping will really stick with Delta Directions, is there's just so much to do in the Delta. And I think one thing I've learned from being here is, for every project I do, I start getting all these calls. People, can you help with this? Can you help with that? And it just feels like people in the Delta want to see a change, and they have ideas for how to change it, and they want to be proactive. They just don't have the resources. So what I'm really hoping is, through my continued help as the health fellow and being able to be really linked in and be here a lot, I want to really be able to link in the local universities in Mississippi and start kind of an institute in the Delta where students from Mississippi State, from Ole Miss, Delta State, Millsaps, Mississippi Valley can do like internships or during the semester volunteer work that they can get credit for, and be linked with Harvard students and be linked with people in the Delta doing just different projects, and just sort of being a kind of clearinghouse of like different projects that really can have an impact on the Delta, and continuing with this interdisciplinary lens, and like bringing together different schools and different backgrounds to address problems that have been really persistent for a really long time.